Welcome to part 2. Here we go. 29. Big Nate. Silent but deadly. So this is a really funny one because it has a lot of stuff, has a little bit of charm in it. It's an okay one. It has improved from the other books. And, while yes, it's all from 2013 to 2014, it has some really interesting ones, including Facktown Smackdown. Aw, yeah. 28. Big Nate, Revenge of the Cream Puffs. I remember this book really fondly because when I first read it, I really enjoyed all the stuff. And, yes, I've read the new books, and I realized that those books are a little bit better. I haven't read every single one of them, but I know how they turn out. But, like, this is a really, fun one. I put this low down, and while I'm kind of upset about it, it's a really decent book, and they're just better books than this one, which kind of disappoints me, but I still enjoy this book. 27. Big Nate, Mr. Popularity. Yeah! Gina, why would you mess up Nate's face? Come on, he's the class president. Why would you do that? The school president. Come on. Oh well. Hey, at least everything's full color, which is I really enjoy. I love full color stuff. I still like black and white, but like when it comes to like the other books, like the Genius Mode and stuff, it was all black and white instead of full color. And this is like I guess the only one that's full color. Oh well. Also, by the way, I'm not adding in collections and stuff like the mashups because those don't really count. Well, except for the ones that are like really interesting, like the Stay Classy and stuff. We're not counting Double or Nothing because that one's like, yeah, it doesn't really add anything. And while it does add some stuff, it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? But, still, a really good book. And that's the only one I'm not adding in because it doesn't really, yeah, it's not really like a Big Nate book. It's more like an actual mashup. But the other ones, like Stay Classy, might have been, it's still a mashup, but it's just that it's not really part of Big Nate, so that's why. Also, I'm rumbling too fast. Oops. 26. Big Nate, Welcome to My World. This is another book that I remembered fondly because it was a really good book, and it was one of the books that really inspired me to keep reading the Big Nate stuff. And it just has a lot of laughs, and it's so funny, and it's just like a really enjoyable book. And while it's certainly not part of like the top 10 and stuff, it's still a very classic book. And I definitely recommend it to people who are not young adults like me. 25. Big Nate, Say Goodbye to Dork City. Awesome. This is yet another book, my favorite book that really inspired me to keep reading this, Say Goodbye to Dork City, because it just has so many funny stuff, with one of them being now how Nate joins Marcus's posse and then fails and then gets upset, and then just couldn't handle it and then just ended it. So yeah, the collection things, by the way, I'm not adding in all of the mashups because like Double or Nothing and like the mashups of like the novels, which I'll get to later, those won't really count because they're like they're not really interesting. And plus, I'm not adding in all of them. I'm only adding in the ones that are kind of essential to Big Nate. The others are just like kind of like not really essential, and they're like more of its own thing. But anyway, back to Say Goodbye to Good Dork City. They have my favorite books that inspired me to keep reading. 24. Big Nate, Aloha. So this is another like kind of like romance book, and In Your Face actually mentions how like Nate noticed that Daisy liked the Valiant, and in this book, Nate tries to have Daisy to be his girlfriend kind of person. But then eventually it goes wrong and stuff, and eventually they break up, which is fine because they're like kind of like a bit awkward on their just first and only date. That's probably the reason why I put this up higher, and there's some funny stuff in there, but that's definitely the reason why I put this up higher than the other ones. It's just really awkward, but funny. 23. Big Nate, A Small Pop Quiz. Also known as A Small Pop Quiz, a Big Nate book. So yeah, this is basically like a compilation of like 2005 all the way until 2006. And that's what he's been doing ever since then. Starting from 2005, 2006, it would eventually become a journey to like just basically post comics from like each year. And right now we're like in like 2018, which is wild. And this is how it's first started. All it is was just a simple idea, and boom, it came an actual premise. Sweet. This is a really good book. If you like books how Nate knows how to smell a pop quiz, then this is the book for you. 22. Add More Babes. Awesome. Big Nate Comics. So this was the very first Big Nate book that wasn't like an actual, comic thing. And this goes over, like, I think the entire 1991, which is insane. And it would be a while until, like, 2001 that there was another Big Nate, and then another while until 2008, and then, like, Big Nate would just carry over and have a big franchise. So, yeah, and this would be the book that all started the Big Nate franchise that wasn't, a comic. And honestly, the book is fantastic with all its 1991 classics. 21. Big Nate Out Loud. This is a really good one, and honestly, one of the most awesome Big Nate books I've ever read. And while not exactly the greatest, it's a really good one. It's very decent and has a lot of laughs and will definitely make you come back for more. It's really funny and possibly one of my favorite books that isn't young adult books. 20. Big Nate From the Top. This was also a really good book. Had a bunch of classic comic strips and had a lot of laughs. Both can be interchanged. I just like this one because it has a little bit more better selection. There's one that's combined, but we'll get to that one later. But for now, this is a really funny one and definitely an enjoyable one if you love to see laughs, gags, and more. 19. Big Nate Makes the Grade. So this is like a compilation of stuff when Nate and his friends and some other people went to school. And it's basically like an entire collection of school comics, which is insane. There's a lot of them. And you'll probably enjoy this one because it just has so much stuff to, if you're, a new Big Nate fan, then this will definitely help you get through this series, starting with this one. And it's really good. 18. Big Nate Game On. This is like a collection of soccer, baseball, and basketball. I almost forgot for a second, but now I remember. And all of these, all of them are really interesting and really funny. So, if you're, really new into a sport, then first read this and you'll get a kick out of funny stuff. And you'll be like, alright, I'll enjoy this. And honestly, this was, I don't think this was one of the reasons why I got into sports. But I wish I read this just so I can get into sports. Because it is a really good book to read. Because it's just all about sports, I like sports. 17. Big Nate and Friends. When my dad was, really upset that I was reading Geronimo Stilton, he actually got me this book. I didn't read it, and I really wished it, because this was a really good book when I actually read it. So yeah, that's the reason why I explained that, is because, I was actually reading Geronimo Stilton books. Interesting. And I eventually stopped and started reading Big Nate, and I'm glad I did, because it's actually a really good series. I didn't start with this one, sadly, which kind of sucks, but it's fine, because I really enjoyed this book. It's much better than the other books, because it has just a much better, wide selection, and it has a lot more funny stuff to, read. 16. Big Nate On a Roll. Now we're getting into the books that are actually graphic novels, starting with the worst one. Not that I hate this one, but it's just that the other books are better. So, this plot is, how Nate loses his skateboard, and he tries to earn it again from scouting, Boy Scouting, but Arthur joined, and he wants it as well. So, now he's, competing with him. So, yeah. It's, a really funny story, and while it's, not top there for the other books, it's a really enjoyable book, and a very funny one. In fact, but I looked at a ranking of Big Nate comics, big books, and they said it's the worst one because of some reasons. But come on, man, this is a really good book. Anyway, I just enjoy this book. It's really funny. 15, Big Nate flips out. This is a really interesting one. So, like, after Nate and Francis stop becoming friends after some argument in front of, like, everyone, Nate realizes from Francis that he's actually a dirty person, and he's like, maybe I could fix that. That's what he said in the argument, so that's why he fixed that. He hypnotized himself, became a clean person, but then things go wrong, and then eventually, well, you'll have to figure out and read it yourself. This is a really interesting idea. Both books, like the book I just talked about and this book, can be interchanged. I just like this one because a little bit better because it has a better theme to it. But overall, like, it's not a bad book per se, but like the other books that I'm gonna talk about are like a lot better than this one. But I still enjoy this book, and it's really funny, and just I'm saying a lot of funny stuff. I'm saying funny too many times. Ugh! 14, Max and the Midnight's Battle for the Bocanes. So you might be wondering, wait, this isn't a Big Nate book, but it was created by Nate, right? So I'm gonna count it. And basically, this is like a story, like all about Max and stuff like that. And I honestly like the idea for it, and it just really like hits me. And it I guess it was trying to spark on people who were reading this, and it worked because I enjoyed this. 13, Big Nate Strikes Again. This is all about Nate and Gina's rivalry. I do not know how to say it for some reason. This is a very enjoyable book. Has a lot of stuff that will probably keep you going into the franchise. And while it's not one of the greatest, like one of the most top tier kind of books, it's a really funny book and has definitely enjoyable scenes. Comics, I mean. Also, Ben Franklin is there. I forgot to mention that. Oops. 12, Big Nate in a class by himself. The first Big Nate graphic novel. This plot is very simple. Nate's get a fortune that he will be really rewarded in something and achieve an accomplishment or something like that. And in this book, it takes place just one single school day instead of many school days, which is pretty interesting. And it's all about Nate getting detention and stuff, even though his fortune is starting to not become true. And eventually, well, you'll eventually figure it out, because I cannot tell you if you never read the book. And honestly, the first book has definitely aged well because it has a decent plot, and it's just the plot, and it's just it's a really good book. If you never read Big Nate, then this would be a really good place to start, and will definitely get you into the Big Nate series. And it's definitely one of my favorite Big Nate graphic novels. 11, Big Nate Lives It Up. I've actually talked about this book on my channel last year and reviewed the book. And even though I still enjoy my review of what I ranked it, but I rank it here because I enjoy this book. It's it is one of the smaller higher tier books, but whatever. And the plot is pretty interesting. All it is a kid who joins during the time of the 100th I don't know how to say it, the 100th birthday of PS38, and Nate doesn't really like him at first, but then eventually he actually starts to enjoy him. Yeah, there's at least, I'm spoiling it once. I'm spoiling one of the books. But this is a really good book. It's definitely an epic book. So if you want to learn the 100th, if you want to learn how the school does an anniversary and stuff, then you can definitely learn it from this book. And I absolutely enjoy it myself. There's gonna be a final 10. See you later. Bye.